My mistake there. I don't know what I did wrong, but whatever I did. So let's start off with this. Congratulations to Richard Branson on his flight with Virgin Galactic. That was really worth it. It's really glad we have the chat so I could catch that. Congratulations to Richard Branson and Virgin Galactic for their successful flight. I was making fun of it this morning. There's this picture that Branson posted of himself with Elon Musk, and I made fun of it saying that Branson was taking care of a homeless man, and it got a lot of good response. I'm really happy about that. I'm going to be talking about FSD for starters. We'll do a Q&A. We'll do Tesla. We're going to do Tesla news. We're going to do SpaceX news. We're going to talk a little bit about Lucid Motors, and then we're going to do more Q&A. Really quick, I want to talk about Branson and Virgin Galactic because a lot of people are talking about that. I'm not that excited about Virgin Galactic. To me, it's a cute, fun ride. It's a thrill ride for billionaires and many large multimillionaires. I don't see what Virgin Galactic space tourism and Blue Origin space tourism scaling to make a meaningful difference in the lives of people. I'm sorry. It's fun to watch. It's great for Branson. It's great for billionaires that they get to go on these flights. I don't think it meaningfully advances us into space. And after watching, I don't know, 90 Falcon 9 rocket boosters land, it's not that impressive to do a suborbital flight. I'm sorry. So that's just my opinion. I'm sorry, my opinion. Pogo stick, yeah. So, for FSD, I got to ride in an FSD Beta version 9 vehicle. I want to thank Rafael from Teslatino. He lives about 45 minutes south of me. We met at a local, believe it or not, at a gas station. No other Teslas, strangely, there. And he took us for a drive. There was another guy, Salif, in the car. We drove around. I picked a bunch of destinations that were near where I live. Very, very impressed with FSD. It's the longest I've ever been in an FSD vehicle. And when I say very impressed, what I mean is 90 to 99% of the time, 95 to 99% of the time, it's amazing. It does have some flaws. I'm going to show you some clips. If I showed you clips of how great it is, it would be boring because those are really long. But there were moments that were not so good. Some really obvious things they need to fix, in particular, flashing lights, flashing red lights or flashing yellow lights. But here's an example of a good moment. This is from Kim Paquette, who I recommend. She's on YouTube, and I follow her mostly on Twitter. So just check out this clip from Kim Paquette's video.
Because we're going to make a right and then a quick left, and there's a lot of lot of traffic. Let's see how we do here. Oh, I hear a police car. Is it? Oh, well, we're doing a right on red, which is good. Now we need to get over quick. Quick, 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 quick. Go, go, go. Keep going. Wow, it did it. I mean, there was no traffic there. If there had been traffic, I would have been in trouble.
So I think what's important to note there is it did it. It didn't really do it well. It should have gotten over quicker. So let's just watch that one again quickly. It did what it was supposed to do. It made a right turn and it got over 2 lanes over to make an immediate left turn. But just watch it again.
We're going to make a right and then a quick left, and there's a lot of lot of traffic. Let's see how we do here. Oh, I hear a police car. Is it?
You're going to see her hand on the wheel. She's not steering. The car is steering. Her hand is just there to make sure.
Go, go, go. Keep going. Wow, it did it. I mean, there was no traffic there. If there had been traffic.
So it works. It's very impressive. I almost have to pinch myself when we're riding in the car. And somebody asked if I have video of my trip. Teslatino, I believe, is posting or has posted a video of our drive. I did not take my own video of it. I was just along for the ride to experience it for myself. Here is a different video, and I want to show one of the flaws. This is Teslatino's video from before I rode with him. This is a flashing yellow light problem, and we experienced this on our drive.
Convenience store / gas station. Oh, there was a little bit of a phantom brake there. Yep. Well, actually, that wasn't phantom brake. It just misinterpreted the yellow blinking lights.
Let's watch that again. It's approaching a flashing yellow.
/ gas station.
Right there, it slowed
Oh,
down.
there was a little bit of a phantom brake.
You watch
there.
this speed. Let me make this bigger. I'm going to make this bigger just so you guys can see it. I'm going to make this bigger so you guys can see it.
Convenience store.
Watch the speedometer,
/
44.
gas station.
All of a sudden it slows down to 30,
Oh,
28
there was a
miles an
little,
hour.
Phantom brake there. Yep. Well, actually, that wasn't phantom.
So it slowed down from 45 to 28 miles an hour. We were driving along in a different spot. We went through a flashing yellow light, and it really braked hard. Harder than what we just saw. So, and Gali had an example of this. Galliano, what is it? Gali Filch? Whatever. Gali from the Hyperchange channel on YouTube. Watch him encounter a flashing, I think it's a flashing yellow, and it thinks it's a flashing red.
It's hard to like look. It sees this guy. Oh, totally avoided him. Okay.
That was good.
That was good, yeah.
Right around and give him a little space and slow down.
This is interesting. It thinks it's a red light, but it's actually a yellow light.
So I wonder if we wait, will it go?
Right? Because it thinks like it's a flash around. See, this is where I'm going to give it some juice and be like, encourage it and say, this is the right way. We can go.
So in that case, it mistook a flashing yellow light for a solid red light, and the flashing yellow, we're not even sure what it was doing, whether it thinks it's a yellow about to turn to red. We don't really know. Golly Russell, thank you. Thank you, Jim. So that's just another example. Now here's Chuck Cook. I think this is the bad one. This is when it's trying to make a left turn and a busy road. This one isn't as bad. This is a great video, by the way. No, this isn't it. This is the one. This is the good video.
There. The data will be collected. I'll post as many of these as I have time to post and let you guys that watch and make comments be the judge.
I love his
Interesting,
videos.
this truck right next to me. Oh, I just saw brake lights. I was going to say his brake lights are on. You can't see him in the video, but his brake lights are on at this light. And I saw a flicker of brake lights for a second, but now they're not there. Oh, there they are again. Interesting. All right, so here we've got a turn, and I've got a line it can follow as long as it honors it. Wow, it did that really good. That was better than version 8 for sure.
So, just really quick, I love Chuck Cook's videos because he uses a editing trick to make the display much larger in the screen, so you can see the road and you have a much better view of the visualization. So I really recommend Chuck Cook's channel. I recommend all these channels, but Chuck Cook's FSD Beta videos are particularly good because of the way he does this with the beta display, and you can see the vehicles, you can see the roads. This next one, this is also a Chuck Cook video. Watch it's called the tether. There's this thing that sticks out of the front of the car that sort of snakes around and is supposed to be predicting the path. Watch the tether in this video.
It's 7:30 in the morning, Saturday morning here, so the traffic is not going to be very heavy. I've got an obstructed left here. It needs to creep out, which is what it says it's doing. I'm going to try to give you the view here. Okay, it needs to stop. Okay, a lot of traffic coming. More traffic coming. I'm going to kind of keep this here and look left because I can't risk it going. I'm having to lean way forward to see the traffic. Sorry about that. It can't go yet. I'm trying to get rid of all this stuff and still drive safely. Nope, it needs to wait. Nope, it needs to wait. Okay, it can go now. And it's going. And it needs to stop or go in the left lane. I let it go and it can go in the left lane. It's got to, okay, I got to accelerate. All right, so there was a...
So what happened there is first of all, it's a very, very challenging turn to make. This is a hard thing for many human drivers to make, is you got heavy volume of high-speed traffic coming from the left. You're trying to cross over 3 lanes of that to enter 3 lanes of high-speed traffic coming from the right. Very, very challenging scenario. I think a lot of human drivers have a lot of trouble with this scenario. So very, very tricky. And if you watch really close, if you watch that tether, I'm going to make this full screen and we'll do this again. If you watch really close, watch the tether off the front of the vehicle. And sometimes it looks like it's trying to make a right turn instead of a left turn. It's really weird. So let's see this again. And thank you to Chuck for doing this.
It's 7:30 in the morning, Saturday morning here, so the traffic is not going to be very heavy.
See, the tether's trying to make a left.
Obstructed left here. It needs to creep out, which is what it says it's doing. I'm going to try to give you the view here. Okay, it needs to stop. Okay, a lot of traffic coming. More traffic coming. I'm going to kind of keep this here and look left because I can't risk it going. I'm having to lean way forward to see the traffic.
Oops, just right there. For a second, it flicked to the right.
Forward to see the traffic.
Oh, I just missed it. Let me see if I can get it again.
I'm having to lean way forward to see the traffic.
You see the tether has turned to the right like it's trying to make a right turn instead of a left turn. The dotted line coming out of the front of the vehicle is like it's trying to... And Chuck noticed this at other points in the video. Anyway, I just wanted you to see that. So it isn't... When it encounters very difficult situations, it's struggling. When it encounters flashing yellow lights or flashing red lights... I think the flashing yellow, flashing red light is something that's going to be fixed in the next iteration. So that'll be resolved in 2 or 3 weeks, hopefully. So really, really good to see a lot of progress with this stuff. They're making a lot of different things are happening. Elon tweeted about it. Mind of car visualization will improve in coming releases. Brightness, translucency will indicate confidence in neural network and predicting a given object. Really interesting. So the brighter an object it is, I guess the more solid it is, that's the more confidence. And he wants to see if you can look at a quick glance at the screen if the car fully understands the environment. Very interesting. And he was asked about recognizing animals. Kim Paquette noticed that it didn't seem to be recognizing dogs. So screen render will become increasingly better at recognizing things. So we'll see how that goes. There's some really cool videos. Chuck, one of Chuck's videos, he's waiting for a drawbridge, and the drawbridge comes up. And at certain points, it's like the vehicle seems to think that's a truck. Mostly didn't notice it. When pedestrians walk by, that's kind of interesting. We were in traffic, and we call it a panhandler here in America. Somebody walks out in traffic while cars are stopped with a sign saying, "Please help Jesus," or something like that. And the person walked right in front of the car, and you could see the legs moving. Salif was joking that they should that Tesla needs to render the sign so you can read what the sign says in the visualization. I think that might be a little bit unnecessary. And Earl asked Elon, or described what he was seeing. Earl of Frunk Puppy, or Earl of FSD Beta, apparently. Love this guy. He talked about, he felt it was more confident. I definitely have seen a lot of people saying it feels more confident, accelerates in a more confident manner in different situations. It drives smoother. The way it enters a lane on a turn, I think, is very solid. Fewer disengagements. Earl was having less problems with it. Needs an update or two before wide release. And he made a reference to Elon and Karpathy. Elon specifically mentioned 2 other people who are key on the team, Ashok and Milan, along with Andre. So he described the structure of the autopilot team as a Knights of the Round Table structure. They decide for themselves what to work on, kind of like Val. Kind of a very interesting approach. I think it's sort of a freewheeling, let's just make it better. You guys work however you want to work. So very, very challenging. Yeah, I should mention that intersection that Chuck was driving.
It's 7:30 in the morning, Saturday morning here. Okay, a lot of traffic.
This intersection, let me make this smaller. This type of intersection is very, very challenging. We have an intersection near where I live. It's Palmetto Park Road, just west of the Florida Turnpike, which is there's a bridge. Palmetto Park Road goes over the Florida Turnpike. And on the west side, there's an apartment complex that has a driveway out to Palmetto Park Road that should only have right turns onto Palmetto, and then you would go make a few lane changes and make a U-turn or something. But they actually allow people to make left turns out of that. So Palmetto Park Road is 3 lanes with a 50-mile-an-hour speed limits and going downhill. So people are coming down that hill at 65 miles an hour. And you got to make a left turn across 3 lanes of that to enter 3 lanes going the other way, 55, 60 miles an hour. And I've seen a bunch of fatal accidents in my neighborhood. I run West Boca News, so we covered the news. A lot of fatal accidents there. So very, very, honestly, if there's a question, why do we even allow intersections like this? Very, very tough, very dangerous, but that's the way it is. And I almost wonder if the flicker of the tether trying to go right was an indication that it would be better to make a right turn and a U-turn later. I'm not sure what that was. So, anyway, just really quick, just to go back, we drove to a bunch of different locations. We drove down a very busy highway, US 441, also known as State Road 7 in Florida, going from Parkland and Coconut Creek, Florida, up into West Boca Raton, Florida. We drove through the Hillsborough. think we drove through the Hillsborough intersection at one point. We drove through these are very major intersections: Hillsborough, Palmetto Park Road, Glades Road, and then a couple of lesser intersections. We drove on Glades Road a bit, which is a very, very high volume road. A lot of cars around us, and the car mostly did really well. I think there was one moment where we were waiting to go straight at a red light, and we were in the right lane, and we were further back because the right lane was backed up more. And all of a sudden, it just decided to make like a double or triple lane change for no apparent reason. And one time we were going south on 441, and it seemed like it made a decision to make a left turn where you wouldn't make a left turn, just out of the blue. So, 99% of the time, I'm going to say it's driving great. And then I think Elon said something like, please be paranoid because it might try to kill you. You just got to be careful. So right now, it's good that only beta testers have it, and they're really practiced at watching it, and they make sure that it's good. Jim Whitehead says they don't fix a lot of intersection problems until someone dies in my little town. In my town, they don't fix the intersection even if someone does die. I don't know. I don't know. That, like, it's really striking how we have so many bad intersections that don't get... I'm a big fan of roundabouts. If people know me, I think roundabouts are great. I did see... we did take FSD Beta through a roundabout. It did great. This is an unconventional roundabout. It's, for those who are familiar with West Boca Raton, which is almost no one, the intersection of Kane Boulevard. There's a roundabout on Kane Boulevard just north of Yamato Road in Lakes of Boca Raton, in that neighborhood. It handled it perfectly. There was a car coming from the right, and you would think it like if my kid was driving, my kid would have waited for that car to go, but we had right of way, and it went. So really, really good. Really, really good. So I'm very excited, and the important thing about FSD is not that version 9 released yesterday or the day before or whatever is spectacular. No, it's pretty good. It has a way to go. The critical detail about FSD is the changeover to full vision, 4D vision system is it should learn faster. So there haven't been any major iterations, major updates in about 4 months. So now we're going to start down the path again of updates. And I think it's going to be about every 2 weeks, maybe every 3 weeks. Karpathy said at an event that they did 7 iterations over 4 months. So that's in the ballpark of 2.5 to 3 weeks per iteration. So hopefully there'll be a new update in 2 or 3 weeks, and another update in 2 or 3 weeks. Hopefully they'll get the flashing light problem resolved fairly quickly. That seems to be an obvious thing that needs to be fixed. I didn't see a lot of stuff that was like an obvious problem beyond that. So when do they expect? No one knows when to expect full FSD. We'll see about that. All right, so let's move on. We're going to move on to the Patreon question and answer. I want to thank the Vasa Law Firm in Sweden and all my Patreon supporters for helping this channel grow. Patreon supporters get early access to some videos. They get bonus content. They get to submit questions for live streams ahead of time, and those questions get answered first. And there's more that they get. There's links to Patreon in the description below. And of course, while I'm talking about it, check out the t-shirts. Tesla's the next Tesla. Link to that in the description below as well. So the first thing I wanted to do was, Rune asked about FSD, because this is relevant to just talking about FSD. Rune asked about FSD's biggest challenges. I think the biggest challenges is what's called edge cases. Driving down the middle of a highway is easy. It's getting pretty good in most normal driving. It's just unusual circumstances where an intersection is oddly laid out, or where human behavior is just unusual. It has a lot to pick up. I think if you watch Ghali's video, they're driving in downtown Seattle in the middle at 2 o'clock in the morning, and drunk people are walking on the streets. A lot of little things it's got to pick up on and get better at. I think that's probably the hardest thing. It's just, and Elon talks about this, is the March of Nines. There's so many weird things that happen on the road, and it has to see enough of them to get good at dealing with it. Q2 earnings call, be nice, is not until, I think, I'm going to guess the 22nd. That's when it was a year ago. 22nd of July is my guess as to when the earnings call is, but maybe it'll be later. Maybe it'll be the 27th. We'll see. Somewhere in later in July. So we got a couple weeks before we get the earnings call. Rune also asked, how do I see, and I love this question, so I want to address it. It relates to FSD as well. what do I see as how does the early robo mobility service look like? When we get to the point of FSD actually being used for robo taxis or whatever, how do I see that working? My vision in the first place is we're probably going to see robo taxis in the Boring Company tunnels first. Maybe not first, but that seems like the most likely place. It's an easier environment. I think the only challenge with that is having enough vehicles operating for enough time to learn that particular environment. It's an easier environment because basically nothing ever happens to your right. The right side of the vehicle is always a tunnel wall, so there should never be a problem on the right. You don't really have to worry about what's behind you. You're never backing up. They never back up. They never go in reverse. So there's only things happening on the left, and there's no intersections. There's no traditional intersections, so it should be much easier. But I think they're still going to need to train FSD to drive in the tunnel. So that's probably going to be the first place that you're going to see robo-taxis. Then I think you're going to identify certain locations. My guess is somewhere either Florida, Texas, California, or Nevada, especially Nevada, because if it's operating on the robo-taxi network in the Boring Company tunnel network, it would be natural for it to expand to Las Vegas and drive in Las Vegas. But I think Florida, Texas, California, Nevada are 4 places it's likely to debut early, and China. I think China is likely to be an early adopter of robo-taxis and FSD. So you're just going to see robo-taxi. I think you may have safety drivers. I don't think you're going to have safety drivers. Once it's operating, there's no point in having a safety driver. The safety driver could actually make it more dangerous. But I think you'll start seeing them operating and just taking people for rides. I think one of his questions was, do I think they'll do goods before humans? Delivering food to people or delivering groceries. That certainly seems like a good use case for robo-taxi. But I think robo-taxi as a ride is probably going to come first. But I'm not sure. I think it's a good question. So we're going to do more Patreon Q&A. When we get to the Q&A section later, I'm going to do the rest of the Patreon questions. And so anyway, I just have a little bit more Tesla news to go into. So let's do that first. Okay. The new pack. So somebody posted this image in Reddit, which is supposedly a new battery pack. And there's a lot of controversy right now on Twitter, maybe on Reddit as well, about what this pack is. So someone said it was the new 4680 structural pack. A guy named Bill said it's the 4680 pack for Tesla Model S Plaid. And I'm pretty convinced this is just the 18... And somebody else said this. I'm pretty convinced this is true. This is the 1865 cell pack, battery pack for Tesla Model S, Tesla Model S Plaid, and Tesla Model X. And really quick, you can see this is an image from the Tesla website of what the pack looks like. And you just see that there's all these hallmarks, like these two objects that you can see. They match. So this is what's supposed to be in the S and X. I spoke with a key player at Tesla when I was at the Plaid event, and I was told, I think Tesla has been clear that Model S and Model X are using 1865 cells, and the same chemistry, the same cells that they were using in the previous generation. The major changes in Model S and Model X battery pack and everything are weight reduction. They found ways of making the pack more efficient, lighter, work better. They re-engineered the whole pack. They re-engineered the whole vehicle. They re-engineered the interior. Those are the big changes that make a huge difference for Model S. And this is not... And I don't, there's some guy named Bill who everybody thinks is reliable who says, oh, no, that's the 4680s. I don't think so. It could be wrong. I don't think so, though. Another thing I wanted to mention, I did this video this week where I talked about why I think Tesla's stock is going to 4x by the end of 2022. As you know, I don't like making long-term stock price predictions, but I don't like making short-term stock price predictions. I don't like making short-term predictions. I do like making long-term stock price predictions. And there's a really simple analysis behind this video. I encourage you to watch it. Just look at my channel. It's a video I did in the last week or so. We have to look at vehicle deliveries and we have to look at profitability and margins. So based on Drew Baglino's comments in the Q1 investor call that they expect supplier sales to more than double in 2022 from 2021, And based on a fairly reasonable projection, they're going to be close to 900,000 vehicles delivered in 2021. Doubling would get you to 1.8 million. More than doubling cells from supplier would get you to 2 million. And then you add 4680 cells that Tesla is going to produce. I think it's really hard for Tesla not to get... Thank you, Matthias, for your support. I believe, Matthias, that there are 4680 cells in some cars, but I don't know if they're in engineers. I'm not sure what you mean by engineers test cars. I think that they have some maybe in prototype vehicles. I'm not sure who's driving them or what the circumstance for that is. I don't think it's in Elon's car. I don't think so. So if they're going to hit 2 million vehicles in 2022, which I think is likely, and their average selling price is going to be about $50,000, which I think is likely, that's $100,000 in automotive revenue. You add to that my interview with James Stevenson, which I incorporated in this video, bits of it. Profitability should be rising. As you open new factories, as Tesla's production shifts to Shanghai, Shanghai is a lower cost source of vehicles, so the margins on Shanghai-produced vehicles are higher. Now, at the end of this year, we're expecting Berlin and Austin to start delivering vehicles. And when Giga Berlin and Giga Texas start delivering vehicles, now you're going to have more localized production and deliveries, more localized supply chains, and Giga Berlin and Giga Texas should be more efficient and lower cost at producing vehicles. So you should see, or we should see, higher margins on those vehicles as well, compared to Fremont. Fremont, California is the original factory. That's the lowest margin factory. So the profitability goes up. So the volume of sales goes up. Let me take this off the screen. So the volume of vehicles sold increases. The number of vehicles sold increases, but the profit increases faster than the growth of the company because they're operating in a more profitable way going forward. And Elon talked about this. If you don't have to ship vehicles from China to Europe or from Fremont to Europe, you just saved a lot of money. And the vehicles get from the factory to the customer quicker. You go from getting the supplies that you paid for to suppliers, putting them together in the factory, delivering the customer. The quicker you're able to do that, the quicker you're making money. And it's easier to make a profit if you do that. Yeah, Mark Plot says Giga Shanghai is already 400,000 vehicles annually. I worked out the numbers. I saw some numbers about how many Model 3s they're producing in Shanghai and how many Model Ys. If Model 3s increase a little bit and Model Ys catch up to what Model 3 is going to get to, you're getting close to over 500,000 vehicles a year coming out of Shanghai. I think that's going to happen. I think they came up with the number of 576,000 vehicles a year, and that probably happens. They probably hit that run rate during 2022. I don't think they produced that many in 2022, but they hit that run rate in 2022. So that was big. And then I just wanted to mention, I'm really excited about this. This is related to the Boring Company more than it is to Tesla, but Tesla's involved. I interviewed the mayor of Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Fort Lauderdale, Florida announced that they are doing, or that they received a proposal from the Boring Company to do a tunnel from downtown Fort Lauderdale to the beach. And I interviewed the mayor of Fort Lauderdale. He agreed to an interview. I'm like over the moon excited that I got to talk to the mayor of Fort Lauderdale. I think this was a really good conversation. I also interviewed, let me just show you really quick. I interviewed Dennis Kucinich, who is a candidate for mayor of Cleveland, a former mayor of Cleveland, a former congressman, and a former presidential candidate. I'll talk about that in a minute, but I'm going to say, I think the conversation with Mayor Trantalis went better. It was more focused on the technology issue that you're probably interested in, where my conversation with Kucinich was all over the map a bit. But Mayor Trantalis is really on top of things. He knows what's going on. He knows the value of the Boring Company. Very, very good conversation. Really excited about the prospect of this. And this is 45 minutes from my home. So I am telling you right now, I'm going to be there. I will be documenting progress on the Boring Company tunnel system in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. He told me there's only going to be one stop in the middle. So if you're if you're not stopping in the middle, you're going to be able to get from City Hall to the beach, which is 15-minute Uber ride, maybe a 20-minute Uber ride. There's actually a drawbridge, so sometimes it's like a 40-minute Uber ride, and it's going to be like 3 minutes. It's going to be so fast. It's going to be amazing. And there's this section in the middle. There's this section in the middle of Las Olas Boulevard that's like a strip with all these restaurants and shops. It's very, very popular. And I'm sure there'll be a stop somewhere near that. Really, really excited. And ultimately, from the Bright Line train station, that's going to be the west end of this tunnel system, it's a straight shot down to Fort Lauderdale Airport. it's a no-brainer to do the next leg, running to Fort Lauderdale Airport, and that's just going to make things so much better. And I think we're going to see this grow. I think Miami's going to have Boring Company tunnel projects coming soon. I'm guessing that in the plans eventually we will see the Fort Lauderdale system link up with the Miami system. There's an intersection called the Golden Glades, which is an absolute nightmare, soul-crushing traffic like you wouldn't believe. There's a lot of spots in Miami-Dade and Fort Lauderdale that have soul-crushing traffic, and Los Alamos Boulevard is one of them. And you are going to see these problems fixed. It's going to be fantastic. Michael, I would love to interview Jim Bridenstine. I think that might be a bit of a reach for me. And then I just want to mention that I interviewed the mayor, the mayor candidate, Dennis Kucinich, who published this new book. So like the start of the interview was, I think about the first 10 minutes we were talking about the book, which is a great book and I recommend it. If you go to the video, there's a link to the book in the description. But good conversation about it. But I brought up the Boring Company. I said, hey, what if the Boring Company proposed to do a project in Cleveland? And he was totally not ready for that conversation. And I asked him, what about electric vehicles and robo-taxis? And what if, if robo-taxis work and we don't need humans to drive anymore, can we get rid of DMV employees? And no government official ever wants to talk about getting rid of government employees. They never want to talk about cutting government jobs. So overall, I thought it was a great conversation overall, but I thought Dennis Kucinich was weak on talking about Elon Musk, talking about the Boring Company, talking about robo-taxis. I mean, typically we can be very much in common with a lot of other government officials that I talk to, where I think Mayor Trantalis was a lot better. I am working on trying to get a hold of the Orlando mayor. Orlando, Florida is so far got nothing going on with this. I'd love to talk to the Miami mayor. Anybody knows a politician who's talking about the Boring Company, I'd love to talk to him. So, let's see. All right, so that's Tesla news. I don't think I have any other Tesla news. The stock is flat or down a little bit. I really don't care. I don't worry about short-term share prices. It's not important. I mean, I'm a long-term investor. I'm not selling until 2030, so I don't care. I'm sorry that people are upset when the stock goes down and people are excited when the stock goes up. The stock's going to do what the stock's going to do, and we can't control it. So let's move on. Let's talk about SpaceX. A lot of great SpaceX news. Let's start with Raptors. For those who don't know, the Raptor is the engine that goes on Starship and the Super Heavy booster. So Elon said, we are breaking ground soon on a second Raptor factory at the SpaceX Texas test site. This will focus on volume production of Raptor 2. Raptor 2, that's new. We didn't know about Raptor 2 before. We still don't know what Raptor 2 is. The California factory will make Raptor vacuum and new experimental designs. So vacuum, what that means is if you're watching a rocket launch, I should have clipped this. I probably could have put a clip of this. If you watch a SpaceX rocket launch, at the very beginning of a launch, when they're at sea level or close to sea level, the rocket plume is very, very focused. It's just shooting down. As the rocket reaches up higher in the atmosphere and the air thins, the plume spreads out, which means it's less efficient at pushing the rocket up or pushing the rocket in the direction it wants to go, which is usually just faster and often sideways. So when they get high enough, there's what's called a vacuum optimized engine where the bell of the engine is much larger and it is shaped to get the rocket exhaust pushing more straight and giving a more efficient boost to the rocket. Excuse me. So there's a lot in this. What is Raptor 2? Sounds like Raptor 2 is going to be an advancement on Raptor 1. I'm excited about that. New experimental designs. Well, that sounds cool. I can't wait to see what they're going to do in the Skunk Works. I think that's in Hawthorne, California. I can't wait to see what they pull off in the Skunk Works. Come up with some new experimental engines. And then Elon said by volume production, I mean 2 to 4 engines per day. That's super high volume for big rocket engines, by low volume, by automotive standards. And let's go a little further into that. Just to be clear, this is a picture that I think Elon tweeted this picture of the Raptors. You can see in the front there's a row of Raptor sea-level engines, and in the middle there's more Raptors behind in the background, but in the middle you can see this big object sort of in the center. That is the bell of a vacuum optimized engine. It's a much larger bell. The bottom green section that you see on these are the bell that shapes how the exhaust comes out, sort of. The larger bell helps make the engine more efficient in a vacuum. So going further, Elon said, somebody asked him what volume production you're aiming for, and Elon said roughly 800 to 1,000 a year. That's what's needed over 10 years to create the fleet to build a self-sustaining city on Mars. City itself probably takes roughly 20 years, so hopefully it is built by 2050. So really, really cool stuff. Sean McNulty, thank you for your support. I believe most analysts do not understand how cheap the Cybertruck will cost to make. This is not accounted for in 2022. Great video as always. Thank you, Sean. I actually spoke with Franz von Holzhausen about Cybertruck. And I asked him whether there would be other cyber vehicles, and I asked specifically whether the low-cost method of manufacturing would make a big difference. It sounded to me like, in talking to Franz, that it's not really about the cost, that the Cybertruck design is more about having a design that's really appropriate for a pickup truck, particularly the stainless steel, the bulletproof, the ability to take, take a hit and not have big dents in the vehicle. He did not say, oh yeah, this is really much lower cost to make. He did not jump all over that. He kind of downplayed the cost advantage. I was surprised by that. So, but that was a really interesting conversation. I mean, I think there are cost advantages to making it, but it may not be as much as we assume. Michael Whitfield asked about McGregor. Let me get to that. I'm going to touch on this first. Eric Berger, who wrote the new book, I believe, about SpaceX, Liftoff, says Texas is going to have an orbital launch site and a major rocket engine factory in addition to the Starship build site. This was hard to imagine even a few years ago. And Elon says, yes, it will be the highest output and most advanced rocket engine factory in the world. That's not surprising. And then there was this question, are they going to have the engine factory at Starbase, or is that changed and it'll be one at McGregor? And Elon said that the challenges of operating at Starbase left us with no choice but to put engine production in McGregor. McGregor, Texas is north of Austin, Texas. It is a location where SpaceX already has operations. I think Starbase, Texas is the southern tip of Texas. There's just not a lot of industry down there. There's not a lot of people down there. I think it would be hard to attract engineering talent to such a... It's not that remote. It's not that bad. It's sort of like a spring break destination nearby. Corpus Christi's north of that. What's Brownsville, Texas, and South Padre Island is sort of like a party town. But maybe not really the perfect place to attract top engineers to go live. So yes, talking with Franz was cool. Talking with Drew Baglino. Like, all these people are Franz von Holzhausen fans. I'm a Drew Baglino fan. I'm proud to be a Drew Baglino fan. And then I wanted to show this. This is a video of a shortfall of gravitas. This is the new drone ship. Really interesting. I did some math on this. I don't think I have my... I don't know what I did with that. I looked up... What's it called? I looked up this ship, and this is the new drone ship for SpaceX to land rockets on. And what struck me is I think this is big enough for Starship to land on. I might be overly optimistic. Let's look at that again. So here's the key detail about this and why I think this is big enough. I looked up the ship. I figured out what the model number was, whatever. It's a something 302. I can't think of what it is. The width of the deck is 100 feet. Starship is 9 meters in diameter, which is 30 feet. So I think this is big enough that Starship could conceivably land on it. And also, it can handle 11,000 some tons. I forget the specific term. Some shipping term for a particular kind of ton. And it works out to about 10,000 metric tons. Starship only weighs about 100 tons. When it doesn't have fuel in it. So this really does make sense that they should do this. I want to take this question. I like this question. Will the Brookfield Tesla collaboration be the start of Tesla Home? Do you think this can be a test bed for solar roof at scale and potentially HVAC? As far as I know, the Brookfield Tesla collaboration, I should have mentioned this in the Tesla section of the talk. The Brookfield collaboration with Tesla sounds like it's just solar roof and Powerwall. As far as I know, the Tesla is not making any moves on HVAC. I actually need a new air conditioner. We have 2 air conditioning units for our house. We probably need a new air conditioner soon. Elon, please get HVAC going, because I would rather have Tesla HVAC than regular HVAC in my house. But As I understand it, a heat pump is a lot more important for places that need heat as well as cooling. I live in South Florida. We use the heat about once a year, and we don't really need to. So, anyway, I believe it is an electric. I think it's. I'm not sure if it's an. I don't think it's an electric powered ship. I think it's a diesel powered ship. Marty Party asked about a shortfall of gravitas, and I don't think that's battery powered. The things on the back there, I believe, are generators, which means I think it's running diesel to power it. I think it's an electric ship powered by diesel that generate electricity to run the engines. I think that's what that is, but I'm not sure. I was watching NASA. If you watch the NASA spaceflight live stream this morning or yesterday, they were talking about this video, and right there you can see at the back of the ship, that's a bunch of generators apparently, which generate electricity, and they're probably using diesel to do it. The other really cool thing that I think this is happening a lot sooner than people expect, this is super heavy. This is B3. This particular one is never going to fly, but they are testing it, and you can see some venting from the rocket. Like I said, this one is supposedly never going to fly, but you can see venting right there up at the top. Really, really cool that this is happening. So what's going to happen is a version of Super Heavy. The next version of that is going to go out there. They're going to stack a Starship on. I don't know if they're going to do a test launch of just Super Heavy or if they're going to stack a Starship on it and do a launch. They still need to do some other things. Beacon says, Warren, did you watch your own short with a cardboard ducting? Yeah, I'm not going to use a Tesla's HVAC to cool my house. It's a good idea. So it could be methane. Jim Whitehead thinks that ship is running on methane. That's an interesting thought. Okay, so I think that's all I had there. So let's move on to Lucid Motors. Lucid tweeted, first of all, look at the bottom tweet first, that on July 13th, I think it's at 4:30 p.m. East Coast time, don't hold me to that, they're going to have a business update with an overview of the company. If you read the press release, here's a real shocker, no question and answer session. Why aren't you doing a question and answer session? Come on, answer some questions. Take the tough, give analysts a chance to ask questions. Give investors a chance to ask questions. We'll see what this is. I will be listening to this call. I will probably make a video about this that day or the next day, talking about Lucid Motors and what we learned from it. I am probably the biggest critic of Lucid Motors on YouTube and the internet, so we'll see what we see. The other thing, and I'm sorry, this is just funny to me, Lucid had a tweet shortly before that, bragging about service, and what do you see in the picture? It's a Mercedes-Benz. They've got a Mercedes-Benz Sprinter van feature. You can actually, in the photo, you can see the Mercedes logo. They're tweeting supporting Mercedes in their marketing. I mean, to me, that's a marketing bomb. Why would you do that? Why did you do that? I don't understand. Like, what was that? Brooke Chen asked, what do I think about 2-Bit Da Vinci's bullish view on Lucid Motors? 2-Bit Da Vinci and I spoke, I think on my channel, we had an interview where we talked about Lucid Motors. We have a bet. I don't think there's any money on this bet, or if it's $1 or something like that. The bet is that I believe that Lucid will deliver fewer than 100 vehicles this year. I believe Lucid will believe 0, but the bet is 0, fewer than 100 vehicles this year, and they won't hit 450 miles of range. He believes they will deliver more than 100 vehicles this year, and those vehicles will have more than 450 miles of range. So that's the dividing point. And that was that conversation. So, that was all I had to say about Lucid Motors. So let's go to Q&A. Q&A here. I'm going to do some Patreon questions first. So hold your questions in the chat for now. Again, thanks to the Vasalar from Sweden, all my Patreon supporters for helping this channel grow. Patreon supporters get early access to some videos, bonus content. They get to submit questions for live streams and so on. So, Mark asks, anxious to hear my take on the FSD Beta version 9 first impressions, getting the last. I think I already covered that at the beginning of the video. He asks, what should the FSD subscription price be? I am not sure what Elon is talking about with subscriptions. I don't like the concept of subscriptions. I'm guessing Elon knows what he's doing and knows better than I do, so what my opinion is of the subscriptions shouldn't really matter. My guess, and it's only a guess, is they will do an introductory price of $99 a month for the first 3 months, and then the price will be $299 a month. If you price FSD subscriptions too low, then it doesn't make sense to buy FSD, to pay cash upfront for FSD. And it would be offensive, really, to everyone who's paid for FSD already if you were giving it away in a subscription much less than what they paid for their FSD. So $299 a month works out to about $3,600 a year, if I'm not mistaken. And $3,600 a year over 3 years would be more than the $10,000 that people are paying for FSD. I think that would be in the ballpark of fair. And doing a $99 introductory price for, say, 3 months would be a good way of getting people addicted to FSD. I think once you have it, you won't be able to live without it. Mark also asks, what's going on in China? Will production continue to ramp? I mentioned this earlier. As I understand it, the numbers I saw were that Tesla Giga Shanghai produced 21,000 vehicles in June, and 21,000 Model Ys and 21,000 Model 3s and 12,000 or 11,000 Model Ys. So I think Model Y is going to continue to improve their production, and my ballpark guess is that Model Y will get to 24,000 vehicles a month, 24,000 vehicles a month. And Model Y will catch up to that and will ultimately get to the same production rate of 24,000 a month. They may achieve more than that, but at least this is a good medium-term goal. If that goes together, that's 48,000 vehicles a month. It works out to 576,000 vehicles a year in total for Giga Shanghai, without adding new factories, new lines, whatever. So that's where I think that's going. And Mark asks, and will production continue to ramp? Yes, production will continue to ramp. Model Y will catch up to Model 3. That seems obvious. If Model 3 is producing 21,000 now, Model Y should get to 21,000 at least. And then Model 3 should continue to grow slower, and Model Y should catch up to that number. Mark asks, will new factories be needed, or can China, Texas, and Berlin factories just be expanded to meet 2025 goals? I think they could be enough. It depends on the 2023 Battery Day vehicle, the $25,000 vehicle, and the factories that will be producing those. If I'm correct, and I may be over-optimistic, I usually am, if the next generation Gigafactory is able to produce 4 million vehicles a year each, then you combine 4 million vehicles a year from Giga Berlin Compact, Giga Texas Compact, and Giga Shanghai Compact, you get 12 million vehicles a year on top of the 5 million or so vehicles from the other factories, and you're already approaching 20 million vehicles a year. Maybe, I personally think Giga Osaka makes sense. I think there's a lot of choices. If you check my channel a while ago, I talked about different locations for Gigafactories. Now, another theory is the next generation Gigafactory will only be able to produce 2 million vehicles a year. If that's the case, you really need Giga Osaka. You really need Giga Thailand or Giga India. You really need Giga Ireland or Giga England or something like that. You're going to need 5 or 6 factories to achieve that number, if that's the case. So I hope that answers your question. When will Cybertruck manufacture start? I am guessing that Cybertruck manufacture will start towards the end of this year, and deliveries will start in the first quarter of next year. I am hoping that deliveries ramp enough that I get my Cybertruck in the first quarter of next year. I mentioned Giga Osaka because Panasonic is a partner of Tesla, and Panasonic is based in Osaka. And I think the guy's name is Hiromichi Mizuno, is a Tesla board member that they brought on not too long ago, who's very well connected in the Japanese finance and government sectors. And I believe he's also from the Osaka area generally. So I think there's a lot of things that connect together to make it easier to get going in Osaka than other parts of Japan. You know, Panasonic builds a Terafactory to build batteries for the Tesla Gigafactory in Osaka. That would make a lot of sense. Just a thought. Yeah, I mean, could you have another Gigafactory somewhere in the U.S.? I don't think I would pick Atlanta, maybe South Carolina. Personally, I'd love to see it in Florida, but I don't think that's likely either. I think like somewhere near the Research Triangle in North Carolina would make a lot of sense. Elon likes to locate factories in places where people want to be. So North Carolina, the Research Triangle area, really, college town, a lot of great stuff around there. That would make a lot of sense to me. I don't know. Okay. Oh, I'm glad. Thank you, John Irwin, for going to a Kevin Paffrath rally. Meet Kevin. Vote Meet Kevin in California. Yay. Okay, Rob Guy says, I'll add on to Mark's FSD question about the subscription price. What are initial thoughts on what the take rate may be? I know it's tough without knowing the price. Whatever insights you have would be appreciated. So I think if you do a $99 introductory rate, I think the take rate is high. So I've heard different numbers for the take rate is what percentage of the people who buy a Tesla pay the extra 10 grand for FSD, right? Because that's now the alternative. If you switch it to, hey, you only have to pay $99 a month for an introductory trial to try it out, what does that do to the take rate? And I think one of the other challenges is the take rate is much, much lower in China. So how do you get the Chinese to adopt it? I think ultimately what's going to get people to adopt FSD is if it works really, really well. And I think that's a couple months away, probably more like 3 to 6 months away before it really works very well. You figure 6 months is 10 or 12 iterations of the learning process. It's going to be much, much better in 6 months than it is today. I think the take rate is going to be driven as much by how much better it gets than it is by subscription price. But, you know, if the take rate right now is 16%, I think maybe that gets it to 30%. I think the danger is if it cuts into the purchasing of the full priced FSD, that could be a bad thing. I don't know. Okay. Josh says, it seems like this is a great weekend to be a Tesla fanboy and Tesla shareholder, seeing a structural pack that looks ready for deployment and FSD version 9 all within hours. This could be a seminal moment for us. So I think he's referring to the image that I posted earlier. I showed earlier in the, I can show that really quick. This image. I don't think this is structural pack, just to be clear. I don't think that's structural pack. So I don't think that's exciting. I think that's, you know, it's still good news that they have a new pack, but we knew they had a new pack. Josh also suggests I should do a video on when and how many Nobel Peace Prizes will Elon and company win over the next decade. I don't have that high an opinion of the Nobel Peace Prize Committee, the Nobel Prize Committee. I'm not confident that they will ever award a Nobel Prize to Elon, and Elon doesn't care. I think the value of I think the Nobel, some of the Nobel Prizes still have meaning. The Nobel Peace Prize has lost all meaning, if you ask me. I mean, I'm awarding them to people who bomb as many people as possible. It's not really a good sign. Doesn't seem very peaceful. Mark asks, have you heard about this new Tesla patent? The salt patent. I did hear about this. There was I should have mentioned that in Tesla news as well. There's some information about the patent that Tesla has for extracting lithium from the clay, from lithium from clay. Tesla apparently acquired the rights to quote, mine or extract lithium from clay in a certain part of Nevada. A patent came out that shows their method. I'm not qualified to evaluate it. I actually tagged Limiting Factor. The Limiting Factor channel is my favorite channel. I'm expecting that he's going to do a video breaking down what exactly this means. One of the things that I did notice from it, a couple things, there are like spin cycles. There's these parts of the process where they spin, I'm guessing, fairly large objects to get the lithium to between the salt and whatever liquids are involved to get the lithium to move out, and maybe other things to move out and make it easier to extract lithium from what's left. And when I talked to Drew Baglino at Battery Day, he talked about Tesla's, not at Battery Day, when I talked to Drew Baglino at the Plaid event, someone else was talking to him. I wasn't talking to me. He was talking to someone else about their need for engineers who are good with large rotating machines. And it sounds like the lithium extraction method involves large rotating machines. Thank you, Sean Minulti, for your support. How many gigafactories do we really need when cars become fully autonomous? So, Sean, I think that the transition to sustainable energy and sustainable transport is going to require a very high volume of vehicle production because there are about 2 billion vehicles in the world. If you only make 20 million vehicles a year and they're not autonomous, it takes you 100 years to replace all the gas vehicles. If if each vehicle serves the place of eight other vehicles, then it makes it faster. But I think we probably need to get to 40 million vehicles a year globally, not just Tesla, but globally. I think Tesla might have to do it, though. Sun Devil Advocate, thank you for your support. Would like my take on people underestimating the value of other uses of vision AI and also significance of pending data protection legislation. Video at Not Legal Advice YouTube channel. I haven't seen that video. I think people have no idea how valuable the Vision AI system is going to be. I did an interview with James Douma. If you check my channel for the interview with James Douma, it's spelled Douma. He talked about the value of this Vision AI, and particularly he believes that developing humanoid robots to perform a lot of tasks that will be useful in the humanoid space that we operate in is very, very important. I don't know enough about data protection legislation. That's an interesting question. I have a feeling that that will not be a problem. I did not know that Einstein never won a Nobel Prize, but it doesn't surprise me. Okay, so let's see. Chad asks, this is still Patreon. I'm still reading Patreon questions. Again, please support this channel on Patreon. One of the things you get is you get to ask, thanks to the Vasa Law Firm in Sweden, all my Patreon supporters. If you're a Patreon supporter, I invite people to ask questions that I address first in the Q&A, and then I'm getting close to the end of this, so I'll be addressing and also YouTube supporters, YouTube channel members. I actually forgot this week to invite questions, so I apologize for that. But generally speaking, my YouTube channel members get to ask questions in advance as well. I prefer Patreon, just to be clear. If you're going to support the channel, Patreon's a better angle to support, but I'm certainly happy to have you as channel members as well. Chad says, weigh in on the controversy about the Twitter image of the 4680 pack. I think I addressed that already. So I think we covered that. So that's all the Patreon Q&A. So let's turn to the chat and let's see what questions we have in the chat. Wolf says, who's got the biggest balls of them all? ACDC. I'm pretty sure it's not me. Kucinich needs the Vasa Law Firm. That's funny. Let me just scroll up here and see if I see a good question. Let's see. I don't think the Q2... Victor Lynn says, isn't the Q2 earnings scheduled for July 28th? I don't think it's been scheduled yet, but I could be wrong. Last time I looked, there was no scheduling. 28th would make sense, so if you saw that, it's probably true. I thought last year it was July 22nd, but I could be wrong about that as well. Maybe it was April 22nd last year, and I'm getting confused between months. Let's see. When do I think Tesla will get into general robotics, like making humanoid robots? I don't know. I don't think that Tesla... One of the challenges for Tesla is there's a lot they could do. There's so much they could do, and there's this challenge of, all right, they got a limit. If you watch Elon's interview with Third Row Tesla podcast, he was asked about doing vertical takeoff and landing jets. And Elon just says, look, we've only got so many engineers. It's really, really hard to get good engineers. Any project like that. Like, I think Tesla should do Tesla Homes. They shouldn't be working with Brookfield. They shouldn't be working with Boxable. Tesla should just say, the heck with it. We're going to build our own homes. But that would require a lot of engineering talent. And you'd basically have to take people off existing projects at Tesla, or you'd have to hire new people. Very, very hard to get that done. Really, really challenging new industry. Same problem as... that he was talked about with VTOL jets, vertical takeoff and landing jets, that every place you want to fly it has different regulations. So you got to meet all these different regulatory requirements. And so it's much hard. And same thing is true with housing. You got different housing zoning requirements in every state. So it can become very hard to do this well. When I talked to the Boxable guy, he said there's a particular class. I think it's if you do HUD housing, which is generally speaking lower class housing, which would not be high-end housing, then there's like a national standard for HUD housing, but otherwise you've got to meet local standards all over the place. It's very, very hard to do that. Let's see. Just scroll all the way down and see. Berlin was originally supposed to start production this month. What's going on in Germany? I don't know where you got that Berlin was supposed to start production this month. The last thing I saw was that, well, first of all, there may be some delays from all of the... Elon always sets optimistic targets, but I don't think I saw that. I think that Berlin is supposed to start production. there's different things. There's like, when do they start cell production and when do they start vehicle production? It seems like Cato Road in Fremont, the cell factory in Fremont is already producing 4680 cells. So it seems like they may ship 4680 cells from Fremont over to Berlin and over to Texas to go to vehicles that are going to be produced sooner than the cell lines are ready. I think that's going to happen. There's a theory out there that there's going to be a backup line using 2170 cells. I don't believe that. Ben Pena, thank you for chipping in. Ben is a channel member, says Boxable is the most promising home design. I interviewed the Boxable. I don't forget his title. He's sort of like chief operating officer, head of marketing, whatever. I'm not sold on Boxable. I think Boxable is an open question whether that's really going to work out. I don't think it's as obvious as people think. I think there's a lot of questions about it. Like, I personally think steel buildings make a lot of sense, and I haven't been talked out of that yet. That steel buildings are easy to build really fast, and they're pretty good. So I think somebody should be able to do something with steel buildings, and if I were going to do a housing startup, and I'm pretty much decided I'm not going to do a housing startup, I would probably do something with steel buildings. Manuel says, what are the odds they are not able to solve FSD due to the unpredictability of human drivers that will still be on the road? I think the odds of not being able to solve FSD are really, really small at this point. I think we're seeing massive improvements, and we're going to see much faster improvement. And if the challenge is, you know, maybe the computer system in the vehicle isn't good enough, but I'm pretty sure it is. Maybe the cameras aren't in the right positions to handle, like we saw this Chuck Cook's video of trying to make a left turn, and, you know, maybe it's not seeing the vehicles coming from the left at high velocity. Maybe that's a challenge. I don't know. Do I think Project Dojo is online yet? Hi, Calum. No, I don't think Dojo is online yet. I think Karpathy just talked about a third supercomputer that's not Dojo, and that Dojo's still coming. So Dojo's not running yet. When will you be in the Boston area to have some beers with your fans? I have no plans to be in the Boston area. I guess I would say there's a chance that I would be in the Boston area briefly to go to, there's a libertarian event up in New Hampshire. I'm trying to remember the name of the place, the name of the event. Just happened like a month or so ago, or maybe less than a month ago. There's a libertarian event that happens in New Hampshire every year. Maybe I'll go to that next year. So I would be in the Boston area, but I would probably be going straight to New Hampshire. So if you want to party with libertarians, that would be more likely. It's a bit of a drive from Boston, though. And I have family in New Hampshire as well, so I would be visiting family in New Hampshire. Let's see. Will your solo pod car have FSD delivery for grocery delivery for, say, 5 to 10 grocery bags? So Damien asked this question. So for those who don't know, I'm thinking about doing a single passenger self-driving vehicle startup. And absolutely, Damien, I am thinking of some kind of delivery setup to either carry passengers or do deliveries. I have some thoughts. I haven't really nailed down the thoughts about how the delivery system would work. Is it a restaurant delivery thing? And it has separate compartments for the different homes it's delivering to. A lot of different ideas about that. But I haven't locked that down, and I'm really right now focusing on the passenger idea because I see the market for where the passenger thing is going more clearly than I see the vehicle delivery thing. That doesn't mean I'm right. It's just that's what I see. I could definitely see Tesla working. I could definitely see Tesla working with Boston Robotics and/or Hyundai to do humanoid robots using like Hyundai licenses Tesla's AI vision system. I could see that. Michael asks, when and where is the Tesla ATV being developed? I really don't know anything about the Tesla ATV. I actually don't care about the Tesla ATV. I'm not excited about that. It's a fun thing for some people. It's not something I do. Ben Pena says, did I promote Boring in Florida? Well, I think I've talked up Boring Company in Florida, especially when I saw that this was happening with Miami and Fort Lauderdale. But what I did do was I reached out to the mayor's office of Orlando, Florida, which I think would be I think Orlando and Tampa would be really good places for Boring Company tunnel systems. And somebody in the mayor's office got back to me and asked me for contact information for the Fort Lauderdale mayor. So I believe Orlando is now talking to Fort Lauderdale about what they're doing. And I definitely think it makes sense. Marty Party says, will a Boring Company TMB factory be constructed in Texas soon? I think you mean TBM factory. That's just a typo. Yeah. I don't know how soon. I definitely think that as they scale, at some point, they're going to need to build the machine that builds the tunnel boring machine. They're definitely doing something in Austin, Texas, so I think there's really hope for that. Somebody said they bought 73 acres of land, and I think that's Bastrop County, Texas, that Larry Wong mentions. So are they just tunneling, doing test tunnels in Texas, or are they actually going to start building machines there? I think it would make sense to build machines there. I don't know. Dave asks my opinion on holding company X, which would hold Tesla, SpaceX, Boring, and Neuralink, etc. I did a video 3 or 4 months ago, that's a guess, about this concept. My picture of it is very different from everything else, but I have a sort of an idea of how Elon could get there. I don't think that the holding company is a very important thing to do. And Elon recently mentioned he was gonna try to give Tesla shareholders an advance opportunity to buy into the Starlink IPO. That sounds like it's outside of the holding company pattern, so it's a good idea. That doesn't mean it's going to happen. Elon said it was a good idea, but it doesn't mean it's going to happen. I think it's just the SEC makes it so hard to do things that wouldn't make sense. Beacon179 says, still can't get Patreon to take my money. Tried 2 different phones and my laptop. I'm sorry, Beacon179. I don't have a great answer for you. If you really want to support the channel and you can't do it through Patreon, please become a YouTube channel member. I appreciate your support however you do it. You can Venmo me money. I can give you a Bitcoin address to give me money if you send me an email or you post a comment. Just put your email address in the comment and I'll send you a Bitcoin address. David Ben says Einstein did win a Nobel Prize. I thought he did. Do I think Tesla may start producing cars before Giga Berlin gets final approval? Yes. Would I do a video with Chicken Genius Singapore? I love Chicken Genius Singapore. I would love to do a video with him. I think he's bigger than me, and I don't know if he would bother, but I would love to talk to him. You know Chicken Genius Singapore, and you can tell him, hey, Warren wants to talk to you. I would love to do a video with him. Do I expect to see full driving automation before 2030? This is from Peter Pan. Do I expect to see full driving automation before 2030 when you cash out your Tesla stocks? First of all, I'm not saying I will cash out my Tesla stock in 2030. I think I might sell some Tesla stock in 2030. I don't expect myself to cash out. I expect to see full driving automation by the end of this year. I expect to see full driving automation by the end of this year. We are 6 months away, 10 iterations. Maybe it pushes into the first or second quarter of 2022. It doesn't really matter if it happens 2021, 2022, or 2023 if you're a 2030 shareholder. The difference has become very, very small. Thoughts on Elon's $100 million X Prize donation? I didn't have much thought about that. Wasn't that a while ago? Okay, so let's see. We've answered all those questions. Let's go down here. Would I consider interviewing the mayor of Tampa on potential boring for Tampa? I would interview any politician of significance to talk about Boring Company, self-driving cars, etc. If you have contact with the mayor of Tampa, let him know I want to talk to him. Absolutely. I think Tampa is a perfect place. I've driven in Tampa traffic. They could use it. Sorry, I'm just looking at the questions. Let me move the chat over here so I don't look like I'm looking so far away. Buy a water bottle. Yeah, hey. Check out the water bottles. ElonBits.com for the t-shirts and the water bottles. When do I think GM and Ford will go bankrupt? I love this question. I was thinking Tesla Q is supposed to be a symbol for Tesla going bankrupt. I was thinking FQ. If you said FQ a little differently, it would sound nice. I think FQ would be the symbol for Ford going bankrupt. I think that General Motors and Ford go bankrupt by 2025, if not sooner. I think that once Tesla starts producing in serious volumes, they start taking significant market share from the major OEM car manufacturers. And the biggest hit is probably on GM and Ford because Tesla's largest location of production right now is in the United States. And for the foreseeable future of the United States, I think they're really going to cut into, Cybertruck is going to cut into their pickup truck sales where they make most of their money. Model Y is going to cut into SUV sales. they're really cutting into their revenue, and at some point they just won't be able to take it anymore. I think they will get government bailouts, and then they will fail again. So I think the first bankruptcy is by 2025, and they will fail again. Damien says, how about a Warren Solo pod car that also fits a Tesla ATV to take to the beach through the Fort Lauderdale boring tunnel? The Solo vehicle will not be able to fit a Tesla ATV. It will be about the size of a Tesla ATV if everything goes the way I want it to. So it wouldn't fit an ATV, and one of the locations I think the Solo pod car would be very good is in boring tunnels. Solo, by the way, it is not called the Solo pod car. I have a new name for it. I just came up with it. I'm really excited about the name, but I'm not going to reveal the name yet. Like, it's crazy how good the name is. Be Nice says, hey, Warren, did you attend the Libertarian National Convention in Indianapolis in 2002? No, not a chance. I've never been to a Libertarian National event. I've been to the New York State Libertarian Convention and the Florida Libertarian Convention. I do want to go to more Libertarian events. I think that's going to happen soon. But definitely not Indianapolis 2002, no. Do I think there could be a cheaper insurance option if self-driving cars would only be allowed to drive without a passenger? That would make sense for hailing rental cars. I don't know what you mean. If self-driving cars would only be allowed to drive without a passenger, what would be the point? You mean the... I don't understand your question, Opsar. I think you need to ask that question again and think about what you mean by what would make it cheaper? Why would they be driving it without the passenger? I mean, maybe for deliveries, that would make sense because there's less people to be injured. Rob Markovich says, Warren, Sandy Monroe is going to do a cross-country trip with a new Plaid and is supposed to do the East Coast. Maybe you could meet up and schedule an interview. I have emailed Sandy before if I hear that he's going to be in or near Florida, and I would go meet him in Texas. Frankly, I'm thinking about traveling to Texas, so I would meet Sandy. Honestly, if I had a chance to interview Sandy Monroe, I would travel anywhere in the country. I would go anywhere. I love Sandy Monroe. I think I'm not saying I agree with Sandy Monroe on everything, but I love the way the guy thinks. I think he's a brilliant man, and I would love to meet him and interview him. I would, if he said, Warren, I want you to meet you on the exact opposite corner of the continental United. Like, I don't think I would go to Hawaii or Alaska, but if I had to meet him in Washington State or Maine, I would find a way to get there if I got to interview Sandy Monroe. I love that guy. Have you heard of any companies Tesla is considering acquiring in solar and energy? I have not heard of anything like that. I don't think that's likely. Who's talking about Warren and a Speedo? That doesn't make any sense. Any updates to Cybercabin? Yes, I do have an update on Cybercabin, Jupiter James. Thank you. The basic update is... Did I miss something here? Oh, thank you, Oishi Sakana. Oishi Sakana. Oishi Sakana. We have a tasty fish giving me $5. Thank you so much. Really appreciate anybody's support on the channel. If you said FQ in a bar, you'd get punched. Update on Cybercabin. So... I've had real trouble getting someone to clear the lands. I've made the decision that I am going, given that the people aren't getting back to me, I am going to rent something like a Bobcat. I'm going to clear the land myself. I am probably going to get started on... I kind of have this idea in my head that I want to have Cybercabin. I wanted it sooner, but now I'm sort of targeting less than 2 years from now to have Cybercabin built. And I should be getting my Cybertruck in the first quarter of next year. Getting Cybertruck would probably make it a lot easier for me to build Cybercabin. But if I can, I'm going to rent. I may be able to. The problem is, how do I get the Bobcat? I was going to rent a Bobcat from Home Depot. I think Home Depot will deliver it to near the job site. So if I can just pick a weekend out and I'm just going to spend a day up there, pick a weekend day and get Home Depot to deliver a Bobcat to the job site, near the property, then once it's near the property, I can drive it into the property and clear. And I don't have to clear a lot of land, so it should be pretty straightforward. So just rent a simple Bobcat. It's going to cost me a few $100 and clear about a little more than 1,000 square feet of scrub brush and whatever. It's probably over my head. I'm probably not that good at doing something like this, but given I can't get anybody else to do it, I have been watching YouTube videos about how to clear land. I think I know what to do. It is definitely not called the Warren Carmark Plat. No, I have a much better name. I have I can't believe, I thought of this name last night for the single passenger vehicle and it just blew me away. I will reveal it at some point in the future. I applied to the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office so I can start working on a patent, and I think I may also apply. I think I'm going to trademark the name. The name is it blew me away, this name. I didn't research to see if somebody else is already using this name, but I'm pretty sure they're not. So, Declan Murphy says, hey, Warren, if Elon leaves Tesla, we know there's a lot of good people at the company, but is there a possibility they lose sight of the mission? So in the long run, yeah. But I think that right now there's a solid team centered on Drew Baglino, Zach Kirkhorn, Karpathy and the AI team. There's just a lot of great people at Tesla. What's the guy's name? I met Elon's chief of staff, great guy. A lot of great people at Tesla. Who the mission is baked in right now, and over time, yeah, at some point it'll get screwed up. But I think the mission is solid for at least the next 10 years, and that's what matters. Do I think Tesla will eventually unionize or be pressured to? No, I don't think that's going to happen. I think that that's not going to happen. What is this? Warren showing his 1337 Nihongo skills. Jeff Harrison. Thank you, Jeff Harrison, for your comment. I don't know what the 1337 part is, but hi, Nihongo ga dekimasu. I speak a little Japanese, and I can read and write it a little bit. When will Elon retire as CEO of Tesla? I think Elon doesn't. Maybe I think Elon will step away mostly from Tesla in about 5 or 6 years. I think the question is when they achieve full self-driving and the robo-taxi network is up and running, and when they're producing a substantial volume of vehicles and battery cells. The question is, what is left for Tesla to accomplish that needs Elon's guidance, Elon's leadership? If they are succeeding in producing vehicles in high volumes, if they are succeeding in delivering robo-taxi rides in high volumes, if it looks like they're on the path to the things that they want to do, I think Elon is going to want to turn his attention to SpaceX getting to Mars and to Neuralink in particular. I don't think Boring Company is going to need his attention in terms of large amounts of time. I think he can network with CEOs and get with mayors and governors and get it moving, but that won't take a lot of his time. I think the technology and the Boring Company is pretty straightforward, but Neuralink and SpaceX are going to need his time. 1337 is LEET? Oh, I see. Okay. I didn't get that. I would not call my Japanese skills are not elite. My Japanese skills are very rusty. When will Starship booster first fly? I think it's going to fly within the next few weeks. I think that B3 or BN3 is on the stand now, and I believe that is just being tested. And the fourth B4 or whatever is being assembled. Right? Saw a video of it being assembled right now. So I think B4 is going to be out on the launch pad within 2 or 3 weeks. Tony Bettencourt says, Warren, do you think FSD9 did not move the needle enough to convert the perma-bears skeptics yet? Well, I don't think that FSD9 is what's going to move the perma-bears to skeptics in the first place. I think what's going to convert... First of all, I'm not sure anything converts the perma-bears, but I think there's this class on Wall Street that is very resistant to seeing Tesla moving forward. And I think if Giga Berlin and Giga Texas start spinning up vehicles and delivering vehicles in high volumes, and the margins change because of what James Stevenson said, and they deliver $6 billion in GAAP net earnings in the fourth quarter of 2022, and they're obviously on the path to that earlier in 2022. Once you start seeing substantially increasing profits and substantially increasing production and deliveries, that is the type of thing that I think moves Wall Street. The perma-bears will never move, I don't think. I don't know anything about Cyberlander. I personally do not like Cyberlander. One of my friends, Brian, who lives over here, Brian is in love with Cyberlander. I think Cyberlander is a great video. But prototypes are easy. They don't even have a prototype yet. They have like an animation. I don't even think they built a prototype of Cyberlander yet. I think and the problem with Cyberlander is I don't think there's anything left in the left. I don't think there's anything room left. I don't think there's any room left in the bed of the Cybertruck if you put Cyberlander on your Cybertruck. So what's the point? You don't have any room for anything. Do I think Solar City trial will impact the stock this week? I don't make short-term stock price predictions. I don't see why Solar City trial would matter. It's not a lot. I don't think there's enough money involved to matter. Past Dassault says, with other EVs starting to offer V2H, will Tesla ever offer it? Will that hurt Powerwall sales? I think I did hear a highly placed Tesla official saying that V2H was possible. And in particular, the concept was that it's hard to do with the way they have electrical wiring and regulations in the US. But if they go to induction charging, as in you put something in the floor of your garage that will allow you to charge the vehicle, that it might be possible to reverse that, and that could provide some kind of backup power. Well, interesting question. Namaha says, how come you went to Japan? How long were you there? I went to Japan 94, 95. I graduated law school in a time when there were no jobs for people graduating law school. A friend of mine said, come stay with me and find a job teaching English. I had studied Japanese before that, had a Japanese girlfriend, took a couple years of Japanese at Stanford. And I was always very interested in going to Japan. So I went to Japan, taught English for a year. I did find a job in Hiroshima, Japan, teaching English. I lived in Misasamachi Sanchome in Nishiku, and really enjoyed Japan. It was wonderful. Let's see. Smoot says, if Tesla reaches a $4 trillion market cap, Elon will likely be a trillionaire. I know Bernie Grant Sanders will be spinning in his grave. He's not dead yet. You think we will finally separate realized and unrealized gains? No to the second question. I think that Elon's trillionaire status will be partly from Tesla stock rise. Excuse me. And I think Tesla's going to go up to a lot more than $4 trillion market cap. But also SpaceX will end up being a really, really large... SpaceX is big. Elon owns like half of SpaceX. And right now it's a $100 billion company. I think Starlink is going to be worth like between 1 and 5 trillion. So if Starlink goes to 5 trillion, that's a bigger piece of Elon's net worth than Tesla. I can't believe I'm reading this. I'm sorry. David Ben says Mach-E has a beautiful industrial design. The Cybertruck not so much. Tesla needs a Steve Jobs-like leader focused on aesthetic design. You've got to sell the sizzle, not just the steak. Franz von Holzenhausen is the lead designer for Tesla. He's absolutely brilliant. He's doing great work. I love Franz. It is so comical. And Tesla doesn't have a good leader. They need a different guy to lead the company. Okay. You want to tank Tesla stock, you replace Elon. That'll do it. That's a really good plan. Oh my God, that's so stupid. When Tesla solves FSD, won't all Cybertruck reservation holders be very happy when their truck is worth significantly more? Yes. People refer to it as a call option on FSD, that you can put $100 down to get $100 deposit on Cybertruck, and then if FSD works, you buy it then. Although I think Elon could pull the rug out from under that anyway. Jim Whitehead says he doesn't see Cyberlander as practical. It's too small. Pulling an Airstream or other RV is more practical. I would like to see a Cyber van, like an RV or van based on the Cybertruck platform, which is wide enough and long enough to make something usable. I don't know whether Cybertruck... I think Cybertruck has a skateboard and the exoskeleton, so you just use the same skateboard and put a different exoskeleton or other form on it, and you could make a very useful space on there, and you wouldn't need to pull a trailer. I don't like the idea of pulling a trailer. I think that drastically cuts into range and makes it way too complicated. I mean, I can see doing it. I just think it's better if you don't have to. Stephen Mark Ryan said Tesla solar and Powerwall are not needed to benefit from their energy software. All that is needed, any solar and battery. I don't know enough about that. What if Tesla divides FSD into personal use only and robotaxi? I don't understand why Tesla would... If you can have robotaxi, why would you sell a vehicle for less than the full value of the vehicle with robotaxi? It doesn't make sense to me. Will Model Q unveil coincide with new Gigafactory? Yes, Model Q, if we're referring to the 2023 Tesla vehicle that they talked about at Battery Day, yes, I think that the reveal of that vehicle will actually be more about the factory than it will be about the vehicle, and I think it will be multiple models. Riola says, Warren, when do you see the Tesla Semi launching and will be a major feather in the cap for the Tesla portfolio? I think that they will start delivering Tesla Semis this year to Frito-Lay / PepsiCo. And no, I don't think Semi is going to be a big factor in Tesla's overall revenue and profit stream. It will be important, but not that important. Unless they go big in China and India, which they might. And even then, I don't think it will matter as much as robotaxi. But maybe there's more to it that I don't know. Do I think a Tesla coin is imminent due to worldwide electric generation with Tesla Solar? I love the idea of a Tesla coin, but no, I don't think it's imminent. David Ben says no one would replace Elon. He said leader, he meant a director of EVP of design. Franz von Holzhausen has been Tesla's leader of design for, I don't know, 10 years. I think he's doing a great job. I think he's fantastic. People love him. They can't make enough vehicles to sell him. His designs are great. John Yent says, does your land have a fence? If so, you might rent goats to keep the vegetation down. There is no fence now. I have thought about fencing in the land, but I probably won't bother. I don't think it's necessary there. I'm not really worried about keeping the vegetation down. I just want to get my cabin built and not worry about the rest of it. EV Buzz says, I'm in Austin, Warren Redlick. When you come, please let us know. Yes. I think I will be planning a trip to Texas. Ideally, when I think they're heading close to a Starship launch or a Super Heavy / Starship orbital launch, my plan is to try to come for that event if I can. And as a part of it, I would probably fly into Austin or Houston, but probably Austin. I think there are flights from Fort Lauderdale Airport in Florida to Austin, Texas. So I would fly to Austin, Texas, and drive down to I don't know if there are good flights to Starbase, and I want to see Austin anyway, so I'll fly into Austin and drive down. Also, I have friends in San Antonio that I probably want to see if I can. Let's see. Al Alberico says, question about FSD handling policeman signals whenever there's an incident in the road. How is it going to tackle that down the road? Seems like the biggest challenge for Robo. I think there's a lot of challenges for FSD, and yes, handling signals from police officers is going to be a challenge. I don't think they've tried to do that yet. I have a feeling that that level of FSD is probably not coming till 2022 at the earliest. That's a real, I mean, it's an important edge case to handle, and I do think it's coming, but I'm not sure when. Opsar, what do you suspect is going to come out of the Plaid Fire incident? Nothing. Nothing. It was a story to distract people from the great news that was going on with Tesla. That story is dead in the water. It's going nowhere. Like every other big, scary Tesla problem story, it's going to go away. It's nothing. Nothing. A baloney story. That's my guess. Todd Foster says... so Todd Foster, back on that question about dividing FSD into personal use or robo-taxi use, would that allow a much cheaper personal version? If you had a car that could sell in a more expensive version and a less expensive version, why would you sell the less expensive version? If you can sell every one you make of the more expensive version, you wouldn't sell the less expensive version. So why would Tesla imagine you were Tesla. You have this vehicle. You can sell it for $200,000, or you can make a down-featured version that you can sell for $50,000. It costs you the same to sell either one. Do you want to make $50,000 revenue on that vehicle or $200,000 revenue on that vehicle? Why would Tesla bother to sell the $50,000 version? Why would you do that? Would you do that? You have this thing. You have these headphones, right? You have this clip. You could sell this clip for $100 or you could sell this clip for $10. And the only difference is software that's in here that costs you nothing to add. Why would you sell any of them for $10 if you could sell all of them for $100? Makes no sense to me, but let's be clear about something. I'm often wrong. I accept that I'm often wrong, and I might be wrong about this. I don't think I'm wrong about this, but I might be wrong about this. If I was Tesla, once I had FSD nailed and I could do the robo-taxi network, I wouldn't sell a single car to anyone, not even to me. Rick Swires says, do you think Tesla would ever install Powerwalls for homes that already have solar panels? Yeah, I think they would. I think they might already be willing to do that. I think the deal is that Powerwall, you can't get solar without Powerwall. You might be able to get, I'm sure they're selling Powerwall without solar. They're selling them commercially without solar. So. Oh, Zach and Jesse covered Plaid Fire? I didn't see that. I'll have to take a look. I don't really care, honestly. I honestly don't care about the Plaid Fire. I think it was obviously a scam story that the media jumped on, and obviously they jumped on the story when there was no evidence to support it. It's nonsense. What's my opinion about the possibility of current FSD owners transferring their FSD package to new cars for free and Tesla launching a subscription-based service for new Tesla owners? I don't understand the problem about FSD owners transferring their FSD. I believe Tesla doesn't allow it. You sell your vehicle with FSD in a private sale to someone who then gets FSD, and you sell it for more because it has FSD, and then you use the extra money to buy FSD on your new car. And I don't really have, I don't know what Tesla's plans are for subscriptions. I just don't have a good answer for what they're going to do or what they should do. I don't really like the subscription model myself. But, you know, somebody in Tesla knows more than I do, and they're probably doing the right thing. Will Starship's first payload be a Cybertruck, Star Trucker? No, I don't think so. I don't know what Starship's first payload will be, though. That's a good question. I mean, they are doing an orbital launch. Maybe they'll do a payload for the orbital launch. It's a good question. What about Wheel of Cheese? So David Ben says, because not everyone can afford to spend $100 for the clip. I agree with that. Not everyone can afford to spend $200,000 on a Tesla with full self-driving robotaxi. But if they can sell every one they can make for $200,000, why would they make any and sell them at $50,000? If there are buyers, or if they keep them themselves and they make money on them, why would they say, until they can make so many that there's no longer demand at the $200,000 price point, then yes, maybe they sell vehicles at $50,000. But that's not going to happen for a while. Thank you, Martin, for your comment and for watching the shows. They're generally Sunday live shows, by the way, not Saturday, but I appreciate your comment. Digital Food says the mission is always going to be paramount. Selling vehicles will always be needed. I'm not sure of that. I think we're heading towards a robotaxi world, and we won't have that many vehicles sold. When do I think we'll see the new model being built in volume? I think that the factory will be built in Manuel says it should take 18 to 24 months to build the factory. No, I think it'll take 12 months to build the factory. Or there's different factories in different locations, so it'll be built quicker in China and Texas than it'll be built in Europe. But I think the factories will be built in about 12 months. And I think 12 to 18 months to ramp. I think they're going to start, I think they're going to reveal the vehicle and the factory concept in 2022, mid-2022. I think they're going to start building the factories in late 2022, maybe right after. Maybe they'll have already started maybe they'll be starting to build them right when they do the announcement, somewhere in mid 2022, and they will start producing vehicles before the end of 2023. Brian Nelson says $200 a month to subscribe. You think? I said earlier in this video that I think it'll be $99 a month for a starter, and then $299 a month after the 3-month trial period. Let's say. Oh, Raulo Tomasi, what do you personally think is still overseen by investors, but will I think you mean overlooked by investors, but will significantly increase Tesla's advantage and value? Well, I think the regular investors, the diamond hands Tesla investors, see most of it. I think that Wall Street investors don't see the production volume increasing. They don't see the margins increasing just on better production systems and better location of production. And then Wall Street doesn't see the value of robotaxi. They just really don't get it. I mean, it's striking how much they don't get it. They think that somebody else is going to make a self-driving car and that'll be just as good. And they don't understand that because Tesla's manufacturing is so low cost, and it leads to a vehicle that is so low cost to operate per mile, that is what drives Tesla to be very, very successful there. Johnny Sanchez says, how valuable do you think Dojo will be for Tesla? I don't know. I mean, very valuable. I think the question is how valuable it will be for Tesla outside of robotaxi. And Kathy Wood of ARK Invest thinks there's a huge market for AI training. I don't know enough about AI training to offer a meaningful answer beyond that. Bill T says, will new drone ship need to be tugged back to shore like the others? No, it is a fully autonomous ship that does not require a tug. Hi, John Weixnar. John Weixnar and I met at the Plaid event. What's my best idea for why Electrify America keeps painting over the Tesla name on the power packs installed at EA charging stations? I don't have an answer to that, John, but nice to see you on the chat. Thank you for joining. See how we're doing here. I wanted to do this. That's great. A lot of people on here. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Thanks again to my Patreon supporters. Check out the t-shirts. Check out the water bottles. ElonBits.com for the t-shirts and water bottles. Patreon and Elon Bits in the link below. While I'm chatting about that, And check out my book if you like the way I think. You'll probably like this book, Fair DUI on Amazon. There's a link to that in the description below as well. It's cheap. I think it's, what did I charge, like $2.99 or $4.99 or something? Great book. I'm still proud of that book. When do I see Tesla making cars specifically for robotaxi use? They're already making cars specifically for robotaxi use. They're already making cars. Every car that Tesla makes is specifically for robotaxi use. I think the 2023 vehicle will be more focused on robotaxi use, but Model 3, Model Y are designed for robotaxi use. Corey says, do I think we could see a Dojo spinoff as an AI training company will remain under Tesla's umbrella? So I have this theory that when Tesla gets really, really big, there will be a threat of being broken up by regulators or antitrust authorities in different countries. And I think Tesla would break itself up into different units like Tesla China, Tesla Europe, Tesla Japan, and then Tesla Homes, Tesla Energy, Tesla Robotaxi. I could see them breaking up Tesla to a lot of different units. Creole says, Warren, your thoughts on building brand new neighborhoods that are completely Tesla solar homes? I have a video. If you look at my channel, I did a video where I talk about Tesla building homes. I love the idea, but I think there's a shortage of engineering talent and commitment and very complicated local regulations to make it work. Brandon Smith says he watched 7 FSD videos today. He feels like the disengagement rate is too high. One of the challenges there, Brandon, is like if you watch like Omar Qazi, you know, a lot of people who make the videos, they speed up the boring sections where nothing happens. So the disengagement rate looks higher than it is because you don't notice the times when it drives perfectly. Manuel, I'm not sure when you say how would that affect the shareholders, I'm not sure what you're referring to, so I need your question to be more complete. Raul Tomasi says, hey Warren, will you buy Starlink shares? How will Elon make sure we get pre-IPO shares? I don't know how Elon can do that. I don't know that he can, but if he thinks he can, maybe he can. I will buy Starlink shares if the price is right. If Starlink is valued at $1 trillion on the IPO, then I won't buy shares. If Starlink is valued at 100 billion, I will buy a lot of shares. Let's see. Marty Party says, I think all Tesla subcompact cars will be robotaxis. No one will be able to purchase them. Thoughts? I think that other than Model S and Model X, the appropriate plan for Tesla would be that all Tesla vehicles produced would be robotaxis, including Cybertruck. Not that no one would be able to purchase them, just that the price would end up being so high that no one would purchase them. Let's see. Do I think they're going to sacrifice FSD hardware for the inevitable Model 1 sub $25,000 car? I don't know what you mean by sacrifice FSD hardware. I think every vehicle Tesla makes will have FSD hardware. There's no reason not to include it. It doesn't cost Tesla that much to include it. Superbad says, bought the FSD but did not get the update. Why? Because you're probably not a beta tester. The update was for beta testers. What about rural areas in Robotaxi? Robotaxi will be most valuable in cities. It will still be valuable in suburbs. Rural areas will be the hardest, but they're doable. I think rural areas get screwed in general in a lot of ways, so I don't think that's special to Robotaxi. If they have to break up the company in different divisions, would investors just get shares of all the divisions? Yes. Yes, that's how it works. When you spin off a company, the people who own the current company get shares in the new company. It could be that they're spun off in IPOs and then new investors would be able to buy in, but the original shareholders would get shares. I owned 3Com stock when they spun off Palm as an IPO, and I got stock in Palm. That is the way it normally works, and it's done in a way they're not allowed to screw the existing shareholders when they do it. Mark Potocnik says 98% Tesla, 2% Beyond Meat. I haven't persuaded myself to buy Beyond. The problem with Beyond Meat, and I actually eat Beyond Burgers, and I think they're good. The problem with any new meat company is you don't know who's going to win. I think maybe they're all going to win, but you just don't know. it's hard, can they get the cost down is the biggest challenge. I don't think they're there yet. What percentage of Tesla fleet do you think will subscribe to FSD? I think I answered that question earlier. And I don't know about subscribership. I don't like the subscriber concept. But it's really hard for me to grasp what they're thinking there. When do I think Boring Company will have enough projects to project miles bored in yearly? Good question, Carmveer. Thank you for your question. Enough projects to project miles bored in yearly. Wow, that's a big question. I think Boring Company will expand in Fort Lauderdale and Miami soon. I think we're going to a couple small projects in California. Vegas is going to be a decent project. So I think we're going to see. That's a hard. I don't think I can answer that question. I love the question, but I don't think I can answer it. I don't know. I think that's a few years away. I guess I'll say that. When do I think FSD will be mature enough for wide release? End of this year. Before the end of this year. And it will still not be perfect, and you will still need to watch it. Why pay by mile versus pay by month for Robotaxi? Because people who pay by month would abuse it and drive a lot of miles. The Robotaxi's expenses are most easily categorized by per mile usage. I'm not saying that there might not be a sensible option by month, but Uber doesn't. Does Uber have a monthly deal where you don't pay anything at all for the rides? I don't think so. I think that's a tricky model. I think doing it per mile just makes it make sense. Maybe there's some sort of membership and you get a discount, but do Robotaxis also make buses and trains obsolete? Robotaxis and the Boring Company make buses and trains obsolete, yes. Brookfield Asset Management, I don't know enough. I mean, to me, that seems like a small project, and we don't even know if it's going to sell. I think there's a real problem with the Brookfield idea, and we're going to see how it plays out, is will new home buyers be willing to pay extra for solar roof? Is that what they're doing? Are they doing solar roof or are they doing panels? If they're just doing panels, it's going to make sense. If they're redesigning the roof so that it's cheaper to build with solar roof, that might make sense. Mark Plot says lab meat is greater than Beyond Meat. I'm not convinced that lab meat is better. I think lab meat is probably better for Mars. I'm not convinced yet that lab meat is better than Beyond Meat or Impossible Foods for Earth. I'm open to it. I think lab meat makes a lot of sense, but I think that the vegetable grown based meat from Beyond Meat and Impossible Foods also makes a lot of sense. And it could be that they both work. It could be that they're both better and that they both succeed in different niches. Do I think FSD will make seatbelts obsolete one day? Yes. FSD will make seatbelts obsolete. Absolutely. I think FSD will make crash-proofing cars obsolete. You won't need to crash-proof the cars anymore. What will happen when the rocket containing Jeff Bezos explodes? The capsule on the top will accelerate away from the explosion and he will land safely. When can a Tesla owner take over the FSD from his old Tesla to a new one? I don't know enough about that. I don't know why people are obsessed with that. Sell your car with FSD to someone else and buy a new car with FSD. And when you sell the car, charge more because it has FSD. What can I do to have the FSD beta pushed to my car? I don't know the answer. I know some very angry people who don't have it, and they don't have the answer, and they might even know Elon. I mean, I talked to a guy who's an FSD tester, works for Tesla, he works in the job of testing the latest versions of FSD, more advanced than the beta that was just delivered, and he doesn't have FSD beta in his car, his regular car. What do you say to that? You think you're getting screwed? This guy's got 2 Teslas. He works for Tesla. He works on the team that tests FSD, and he doesn't have it. Since tunnels are an old idea, what's to stop others from making a TBM that equals... This is a great question from David Patton. Thank you. Since tunnels are an old idea, what's to stop others from making a TBM that equals or surpasses Elon's TBM? David, rockets are an old idea. What's to stop others from making a rocket that equals or surpasses Elon's rockets? Same problem. Same problem. What stops it from happening is that other companies are not innovative enough. They don't innovate in the same way. They have not learned how to mimic the culture of Elon Musk companies. They have legacy bureaucracies that make it hard for them to adapt. So existing tunnel boring machine companies that do tunnel boring now have an existing bureaucratic structure that's hard to work around and hard to change their behavior. And I don't think that boring companies cutting into their business because they're only doing a small amount of tunneling. So there's a lot of innovation that boring company is doing, and other companies don't know how to innovate like that. That's it. They don't have they're not wired to innovate. It's an old industry, so they're wired to not innovating. Martin Hodgson wondering whether Tesla could buy Starlink shares from SpaceX even on credit, and then offer Tesla. Tesla wouldn't need to do that on credit. Tesla could do it on stock. Tesla has cash. I like your idea, Martin. That would make some sense. I'm not sure whether that would create some sort of insider trading problem or other issue with the SEC, though. That's all I don't know what the right way is to do it, but I like your idea. Do I think that some of the FSD failures could actually be the computer driving better than humans, but we do not see it that way since it's not what we would do. Not what I saw in the FSD beta videos and what I saw in my own ride, but yes, I think sometimes FSD makes decisions because it sees something the human doesn't see, and the human is surprised, and then they find out later that the car just saved their life. It avoided an accident. Do I think Tesla could get into nuclear fusion? No. Would you still buy Tesla today? Yes. I haven't sold a share, I can tell you that. How soon before someone steals the Boring Company technology? How soon before somebody steals SpaceX's technology? I haven't stolen SpaceX's technology yet. Why aren't they stealing, you know? If I live in a Tesla with a biohazard filter, do I need to take the vaccine? I'm the wrong person to ask that question. What happens when in 5 years the next best EVs cost twice as much as the Tesla? I think that most other car companies are going to die. I don't see it. I just don't see how they survive. How far is Tesla from taking over the KUKA company and creating its private proprietary robots? I don't know anything about KUKA company, so I can't answer that. Does Boring Company have plans for wider diameter tunnels for freight? I heard something about that, Bill T. There's one idea is that there's a tunnel in Fort Lauderdale that would definitely need larger tunnels, I think, for trains. So there's some thought that Boring Company might do that. And I did see an idea for a wider diameter tunnel for freight, and I'm not sure what the source was for that. I haven't seen that anything verifying that idea. See. Are you going to cash in more bonds? I've never cashed in bonds to buy Tesla shares. What happens is I get cash in certain accounts. Either I have a good month on YouTube, or a family member gets money, and which that gravy train has been cut off. That's a long story. So no. Manuel Ben Ezra, do you ever come up to Melbourne, Florida for the rocket launches? I saw a launch from Jetty Park in Canaveral, and I saw a launch from a beach just south of Jetty Park. And I have been up there 3 or 4 times. I'm thinking about going to Titusville for a launch sometime. I'm definitely planning to go to more launches. I don't particularly go to Melbourne for launches. There room for other FSD companies like Comma.ai and Mobileye? Yes, there is definitely room for other FSD companies. If somebody delivers working FSD, that's great. I think it has to not use LiDAR. Otherwise, the problem with anybody else delivering FSD, some sort of self-driving car, software and hardware, is it has to be low cost and work with low cost cars. Do I think Neuralink products will be interlinked with Tesla cars? I don't see any reason to do that. People have mentioned that concept to me before. I don't see any reason to connect Neuralink to Tesla cars. Maybe there's a reason, but I don't see it yet. I don't know what the point would be. If the car drives itself, what's the Neuralink add to the driving of the car? And if the Neuralinks, what is the car adding to the Neuralink? I don't see the connection. Do I see any issues for Tesla with Biden's latest PRO-Act bill announced this week? I have not seen that bill, and I don't follow politics very closely, especially not national politics. John Riley, I believe you are incorrect. I believe that if you sell your car with FSD to a private buyer, then the FSD does not disappear. The problem that people complain about is when they trade the car into Tesla, Tesla doesn't give them credit for FSD. Because Tesla wants you to sell the car to someone else. So sell the car to someone else. Charge them more because it has FSD. I have not heard I have been told, and I don't know, but I have been told that new owners, if you buy a car that came with FSD, then it comes with FSD. Neuralink for entertainment. But if you want Neuralink for entertainment, run your Neuralink into the car's entertainment system. I don't know. I think if you have Neuralink in your head, you're just going to enjoy the entertainment in your head. Do I think Tesla will ever build a low-cost convertible like Mercedes SLK style? I don't think so. I don't know. I don't think that's the general idea. I mean, I suppose it's possible they would do that. Not a low-cost one, though. I think if they build a convertible, it'll be a high-cost one. Yeah, I mean, definitely that's correct. Matt Senko, it's definitely true that Boring Revolution talked about a double diameter tunnel. I did watch that video. It is an interesting idea. Will the Cybertruck outsell the Model 3Y? I don't think Cybertruck will outsell the Model Y. I think Elon has said he thinks that Model Y will sell 1.5 million vehicles in 2023. I don't think Cybertruck's going to outsell that. Because Model Y sells globally, Cybertruck is going to sell primarily in the US. Oh, sorry. I'm getting tired. It might be near the end. I'm right at about 3 hours, too. Got to cut off when I finish. I got to cut off the beginning of the video. Or I had no sound. Is making FSD legal the hardest problem? No, making FSD work is the hardest problem. Are there Neuralink updates this summer? I haven't seen anything from Neuralink in a while. I am eager to see more from them. When will Gordon Johnson take an L when it comes to shorting Tesla stock? I have no idea. I don't know if he really has shorted Tesla stock. Maybe he just talks. What other car models would you like to see? I would like to see a Tesla minibus, a Tesla minivan or van, Cybertruck platform, but like a big boxy shape. Some curves on it to make it more aerodynamic, but a big boxy shape. No driver's seat, wide open space, so it can become an RV, or seating for a minibus to carry 20 plus passengers. Maybe a sleeper version so that people can ride it, from town to town at night. I think there's a lot of potential for that. That is probably the thing I would be most excited about. And single passenger vehicle, which I don't think Tesla's going to make, so I think I'm going to make it. Long-term thoughts on CATL's revenue in 2030, given it's now the largest manufacturer of EV batteries, and thoughts on BYD long-term. I think CATL is going to grow like gangbusters. I think I saw the number. They're planning to build 1.2 terawatt hours of battery cells in 2025, which is absolutely monstrous. And that's a huge amount of revenue, because if you figure 1.2 terawatt hours at $40 a gigawatt hour, it's an insane amount of revenue. BYD, I think BYD is a promising company. I think that I'm not sure yet whether they're delivering quality vehicles that are genuinely competitive with Tesla, but if they're better than gasoline, all you have to be is better than gasoline powered cars. We need to stop assessing them against Tesla and just say, look, if BYD can deliver a vehicle that is better than a comparable gas powered car, Tesla can't make enough cars to displace all the ICE cars yet. At some point, maybe they'll get there, but it's going to be a long time before they get there. Any thoughts on an autonomous semi-fleet? I don't know. I mean, I like the concept of an autonomous semi-fleet, but I'm not sure. I don't know enough about the industry of that kind of commercial transportation to say. Oh my God. Tim Crowley says, how long do I think the Virgin spaceship will be viable until it is obsolete? I think the Virgin spaceship is already obsolete. I don't think it will ever be anything but obsolete. It's a billionaire's toy. It has no meaningful use for society outside of billionaires going on joyrides. I'm happy that they achieved something, but I don't think it's meaningful. Do I think Vegas, Nevada will be the first jurisdiction to approve robo-taxis? I think Vegas has a very, very good inside line for it because of the Boring Company and because of the Vegas loop. Let's see. Would I consider starting a Boring Cities Club of Florida? I don't know what that would be exactly. Probably not. I think I have better things to do with my time. I want to build single passenger EVs. I think I can do it. All right, let's see. Any more questions here? Why make more models after Q? Let's be clear. Q, or the 2023 vehicle hinted at a Battery Day, I believe that will be multiple models. I believe that it will be a small van. I believe it will be a small car, hatchback. It'll be a small SUV. I think there'll be multiple models in different regions. So China will have 2 or 3 different models. Europe will have a hatchback model. America will have a small SUV model. I think there's going to be a lot of stuff there. Maybe there's going to be like a totally innovative design that we haven't thought of. Mark Martachnik says you can destroy the ICE market without replacing all of ICE. I agree with that. You can wreck the ICE industry. There'll still be used ICE vehicles. There'll still be a few ICE makers left. Internal combustion engine ICE. How long would it take to fully charge a Tesla Semi? Charging isn't based on how big the battery is. Charging is based on what the kind of battery is. And it's called the C rate. And I think it's going to typically take about an hour to charge whatever vehicle it is. Doesn't really matter. Maybe, if it may be ideal to charge slower. You can, if you're fast charging, you should be able to charge any vehicle in about an hour. From nearly zero to nearly full. You probably don't want to go from 0 to full in general. So from 10 to 90 or 20 to 80, that should be less than an hour. 20 to 80 should be less than an hour on any vehicle that Tesla makes. I have not seen the Canoe video, or not if there's a new one. I've seen a pick and pull. ICE need to be fully replaced, or junkers will be... The junkers will be around for a very long time. You're not going to get rid of them. Do I think that Tesla stocks will split again? I am not interested in Tesla stock splits. I think stock splits are an irrelevancy to most investors. Will Tesla make an FSD golf ball? I would like that. That would help me a lot. Will Tesla eventually make an EV for every letter in the alphabet? No. I don't think so. Will OEMs have to use Tesla software to stay in business? That's a tricky one. I think there's a problem for the OEMs, the existing car manufacturers or legacy car manufacturers, that if they start using Tesla hardware or software, do they have to say Tesla inside as like a label? Like Intel did that with Intel Inside. And I think they'll be resistant to that. Will Tesla be battery constrained? Tesla is battery constrained. Tesla will be battery constrained. The battery constraint will be there until roughly 2028 or 2030. How long does it take to charge 100 Model Ys? As long as I don't understand that question. Will Tesla come full circle and make a Tesla golf cart? No. Ash for clunkers will end most ICE cars. I don't think so. Do I think Tesla can 10x the supply chain in the next 4 years? Yes. Yes, they can. Faster than that. Faster than that. They're going to 10x the supply chain faster. CATL is going to more than 10x their battery supply in the next 4 years. Absolutely. I don't think there's any serious problem with 4xing the supply chain. What do I think of the possibility of Tesla buying Piedmont's lithium mine in North Carolina? I don't think that's likely. I think that's very unlikely. Tesla has a plan to get lithium from clay. Will Tesla stock become a buy again? Tesla stock has always been a buy and always will be. Will Tesla give priority? And this is not financial advice. I'm not a professional. Will Tesla give priority to first responders for Cybertruck? I don't think so. Maybe. Other than FSD, what is the best application of Tesla AI that is consistent with their mission statement? Ooh. I don't know if this is outside of FSD. I think using AI to optimize the robotaxi network is a big application. I think AI to improve vehicle design, using AI to figure out how can we best make a chassis, I think that could be possible. Manuel says Tesla Semi should be good for short haul, DC to store, but I don't think it will work for a long haul. I believe that the plan is 300-mile range for short haul and 500-mile range for long haul. And long haul truckers have to stop to recharge anyway. So they have to required to take breaks when they drive over a certain number of hours. So I think that regulations will force them to stop anyway, and they might as well charge when they stop. Why no Tesla golf cart? They seem like easy pickings. I would love a better golf cart because the market for golf carts is very small. Not enough golf cart demand out there to justify putting that much effort into that. What do I think Tesla batteries production tops out at? 5 million or 10 million a year? I'm not sure what you mean by million. I think they produce batteries in the billions. Hundreds of millions, if not billions. Why do I think Boring Company can be worth more than Tesla? I didn't say that. I don't think I said that. I think Boring Company would be worth a lot. I don't know if it's, I'm not sure if it'd be worth more than Tesla. I think Boring Company could 100,000x from where it is now in terms of size. I don't think that means that there is no stock price, so it's hard to say, you know, what we don't even have a valuation yet for Boring Company. Jim Whitehead says, I'm hoping for a 5x to 10x in the stock price to match the battery supply in 2 years. Well, I think end of 2022, we're going to have a 4x. So 2 years from now is beyond that, so you could get to 5x plus. And I have this theory that at some point Wall Street wakes up and says, wow, this is really amazing. This company's going to do well, and they overshoot. And that's when I could see myself selling a stock as if Wall Street overshoots and buys more Tesla stock and drives the price up higher than I think it's worth. I don't think that's likely to happen, but it could happen. Pazuzu says something about energy arbitration. I think maybe you mean arbitrage. There's some potential for that, but I don't think it's a big deal. I'm not concerned about sabotage from the inside, no. Tesla's already faced a lot of sabotage from the inside already. Will the adoption of robotaxis result in excess production capacity for Tesla? No. The demand, even with robotaxi, the demand for new vehicles is so high that's not going to be an issue. Heiser says clay lithium is 10 years away. How do you know that? Doesn't sound like it's 10 years away to me. Will the share price stagnate if 4680 fails? Short run maybe, but long run no. Have I ever met a more bullish Tesla bull than myself? I think Bruce Burnworth is arguably more bullish than I am about Tesla. And I interviewed him on this channel. Search my channel for Burnworth and you'll find, or Bruce, and you'll find him. Do I think Tesla will build personal robots for housework? It's possible, but I don't know if the market is big enough for them to put time into it. Oh my God. Somebody's obsessed with Tesla golf carts. Okay. Do I plans for a single person vehicle stifle my plans for a find for THC? THC? You mean TBC? I think my plans for the Boring Company investment are on hold. And if something turns around, it becomes possible, I would do that. I do think the chances that if I decide to focus on building a single person self-driving vehicle, that the time that will take would make it harder for me to do a Boring Company funding round, yes. And I think I have people that I've worked with on the Boring Company funding round who could take that over and make it happen with me helping out less. Do I think Tesla will eventually make 10 terawatt hours of batteries a year or more, 15 terawatt? No, I think Tesla is gunning for 3 terawatt hours a year. I could see him getting to 5, but I think CATL is going to provide a lot of the batteries. Will you tell us when the stock overshoots? I probably will. I mean, I'm talking 2025, 2026. There's a chance that Wall Street sees it and swings the other way. But I think it's better for SpaceX to go public or stay private. I think it's better for SpaceX to go private, to stay private. It might make sense to spin off parts of SpaceX so that the shareholders get some value for their investment. Yeah, I don't care about Tesla golf carts either. I don't see why anybody cares about that. Thaddeus asks, Warren, I don't know you don't like leverage, but isn't there some non-trivial amount that you consider safe with Tesla, say 10%? I just haven't thought that much about leverage. I have enough stock that I'm happy. I'm already wealthy by the standards of the vast majority of the world. If Tesla stock doubles or triples, I'm going to be insanely wealthy, and I think it's going to 10x. So I don't need to worry about buying more. I have enough. If I have cash on hand, I got something to spend, and I buy stock. I don't play around with margin investing, borrowing money to buy stock. Next EV reveal in 2021 or 2022. I think it's pretty clearly going to be 2022. Will you lend your car to the robotaxi fleet? Yes, absolutely. That is part of the plan. David W. says, Warren, I love your program. We need to see somebody try the full self-driving in Brooklyn, New York, and then I will be a believer. I think that's coming. I mean, I just saw it. I've seen it driving in San Francisco and downtown Seattle. There's plenty of difficult situations I've seen it driven in. I know New York is special, but I don't think it's that special. Will initial robotaxi need external markings on vehicle? I don't know what you mean by that. Castings are key. I agree with that. Castings are being used. They're being used in the rear of the Model Y in Fremont and Shanghai, I believe. So, all right, we're way past 2 hours now. I am tired. I don't know if you guys can tell I'm tired, but I feel tired. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Thank you to the moderators for moderating. Thank you to the Vasa Law Firm in Sweden and all my Patreon supporters for helping this channel grow. Really appreciate all their support. Please check out the t-shirts. Link in the description below. Support the channel on Patreon. Link in the description below. Check out the book Fair DUI. I'm telling you, it's a good book. Woo. Thanks, everyone.